Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're a new visitor, welcome to the channel. Hope you find today's videos interesting and you think about subscribing, leaving a like. Really appreciate it. Just a quick little aside here. Just recently got some swag from Hack the Box. I competed in Season 6 and got a discount code, so I took up the offer and grabbed a couple of things. As you can see here, I got the beanie and I got the hoodie. I also grabbed the Season 6 shirt, the heist shirt, and I'm probably never going to wear it. It's just going to be a memento in my closet of the year that I got back into Hack the Box and I really started buckling down, getting back into hacking and stuff. So that aside, let's get to today's video. So if you watched my last walkthrough, how we got into the box, how we got information that we needed was through a cross-site scripting vulnerability. Now, cross-site scripting is one of the oldest attack vectors, but it's one that I've never been great at. And when I ran across it in that last walkthrough, I decided to take a step back and really buckle down and start learning some. And so what I'm going to do today is share with you a lot of the resources I found, some of the information that I think is relevant and interesting, and show you a couple of scenarios of attacking using the BWAP in my home lab. So first off, I've got here W3 schools. First off, if you've never been to the site and you don't have it bookmarked, bookmark it now, pause the video, go bookmark it. There's a link in the description to this JavaScript page. Go do it. They are absolutely awesome. If there's anything in coding that you want to learn, this is a great place to start. So, if you didn't know, cross-site scripting is basically just injecting JavaScript code into a website. While you don't need to know how to code in every language to hack, understanding the basics and understanding the little parts that you need to is going to be something you're going to have to do. How you go about learning those is different for each people. For me, I like to actually sit down and take apart the language itself and kind of learn everything I need to. So this one, it goes through, and I love W3 because they give you examples to go through. Like this one on the where to, talking about where you can inject script tags, right? And it just gives you a basic example here. You click on try it, it brings up this and another tab. You can see they got a sample HTML page here. You can see here they declare an ID. They don't put any text here. And the script, when it gets down here, it activates and it sets it to my verse JavaScript. Kind of some basic stuff, but then they go into events and different things, and this is one thing I like, showing that you can actually store scripts in the head of an HTML page. So here they are declaring a function, and when it gets called, it's going to get the element ID demo, and it's going to set its text to this. As you can see down here, where demo is declared, they give it some text. Now over here you can see a paragraph. And then you just see where they build a button, and on the click, it calls the my function up here. So when you click it, you see that the text changes. So you can see basic examples, but it helps you to kind of start wrapping your head around of what's going on. Why does it work? How does it work? Stuff like that. And that's one reason I would highly recommend you go through, learn some of this. You don't have to get in depth. A lot of these pages that they cover these different topics are real quick, easy reads. You can knock a page out in a couple of minutes usually, but it's really, really great. HackerOne. Now this is one of the bug bounty websites that you may have heard about. And they put out a lot of good articles. So if there's something you want to learn, definitely try to take a search through their site or use Google to search their papers and see what you can find. A lot of good stuff. So this one, basically, it just goes through on what an XSS is and how it works, right? Without examples, really. It just kind of gives you an overview. So if you're just starting out and you're not familiar with what cross-site scripting is, this is actually a pretty good read. Just kind of give you a simple overview of a lot of different things about it. OWASP. It's hit or miss depending on who you're talking about, whether OWASP is good or not. I think it has its place. I think it's still a good resource for a lot of things. And their article here on cross-site scripting, I think pairs pretty well with HackerOne's article. Again, it just kind of goes over. They do give you some links to some cheat sheets and some other stuff they have, which is nice. Talks a little bit about different types of attacks and stuff like that. And what I do like in this one is that they give you some examples, which again, if you haven't gone through and learned a bit of the JavaScript or already know JavaScript HTML, it can be a little hard to follow. And in this example, I particularly like because it shows you how you can set up a simple script here to reach out to a PHP site that you've made, which that leads into understanding PHP and how to build things. Another language you got to wrap your head around. You can pass a parameter, in this case Cake Monster, and you can pass the document cookie to it. So the document cookie, if you don't know, is referring to the cookie that your browser loads when you load the page. So what this does is essentially when somebody clicks on the page where this is stored, it grabs that cookie and sends it over to this PHP file that you can host locally or somewhere else. And you would have that PHP file set up to where when it receives that connection, it can grab that cookie from this parameter that's sent and store it. You can write to a file. Here, another website, Hat Tricks. If you don't have a bookmark, pause video, click the link, bookmark the site. Awesome, great site, a lot of great stuff here. This one I would suggest reading, going over when you're more comfortable with the basics of cross-site scripting. It does talk a little bit about them, but it does jump over the basics pretty quick. It gets into some weeds and stuff, but there's a lot of interesting stuff to read and to learn from this. Hat Tricks is a great site. It's one of those sites that built by hackers for hackers. Awesome. I can't say enough about it. It's really great. What I like, especially like in this DOM section here, and if you're not familiar with DOM, just think HTML documents, like the document cookie in the example we saw previously. You can click on this and it takes you over to this article. So you can learn more about those and stuff like that. So you can see you can get URIs encoded. There's the cookie. It's a bunch of stuff you can get. There's another one from OWASP, and this one I think is actually really good because this is something you will come across in CTFs and boxes. And if you're trying to go into bug bounty, if you're trying to go for certain certs where you have to actually attack machines and stuff like that, you could run into filters and WAFs, web application firewalls. This is where you kind of need to know about evasion techniques, and this is a good place to start learning about those. One of the biggest things here is polyglots. You also have different ways to encrypt payloads, which helps. But yeah, another great read. Image on error and JavaScript alert encode. So this is the type of thing I'm saying when I'm talking about encoding. You set up a script to load an image, you set the original source to X, and then on error, you would normally pass in URL to a different image, right? And if you do hack the box, one of the more recent boxes, Alert, I was speaking with someone in Discord because I was having a little bit of trouble with it, and he actually shared his script with me, and this was actually a technique that he used, which I thought was kind of cool. As you can see here in this one, they've got the full thing encoded, which is really nice. Now to the juicy stuff, the payloads. So you've already gone through all the other stuff, you understand the concept, you understand the theory, you understand how it works. How about payload research? This is going to be a big thing. This is one of the first cross-site scripting payloads I came across on GitHub. There's a bunch of interesting stuff on GitHub. And yeah, it has been updated in a while, but this cross-site scripting doesn't need to be updated that much. Now here he goes in talking about some of the scanner tools, which is nice. If you've not used any of these or done any research on those, check them out. They do help on CTFs. Then we get into the payloads, and there's a lot. He has a lot on this page, and they're all one-liners. So if you're not familiar with how one-lining works in code, a lot of code uses this little semicolon to denote that one line function, whatever you want to call it, has ended. So anything after that's on a new line. So like this one right here, this image source, this would essentially be two parts. So like this image source, this one's basically what this one does. It sets the source, and you see these open quotes, and you notice the closed quotes is over here. So it's saying this is the first part, then break, then this I want you to do after you load the image. So it's kind of a two-part source image load. And that just takes time to kind of learn to read these one-liners. Portswigger, I'm sure you've heard about them by now. Made a video on their little free academy. I think it's a great resource. If you haven't signed up for it and go work on it, pretty good. They have this awesome cross-site scripting cheat sheet. Now, this is something I would definitely only recommend when you're at that stage where you're comfortable with cross-site scripting and delving into it. So you can see here, I've got all tags, which each of the payloads down here have these tags. It can be a single thing, or you can have one that has a bunch of them, right? And this column here is your actions. So like on load, on click, after, what's it called? After script execution or something like that. You can click that. And there's a particular browser you're going for, you can select that over here. But down here at the bottom is where the juicy stuff is. So this tells you like what browsers it's compatible with, gives you a description of what's going on. Of course, you have the tags there. And then you actually have the payload. And what's interesting is this is broken down to event handlers that do not require user interaction and ones that do require. As you can see here, on click. This one here basically makes a button saying click me, and then delivers the payload. And these are just some more stuff down here that you can research, some different types of things. So you know, if you know you're dealing with iframes, you got one here that can work with that. Definitely a rabbit hole, but definitely worth the time to look through. This site, it's interesting. I'll show you in a minute why I call it interesting. Put it on here because there is some interesting things with this payloads to learn and look through. And I do like he gives this little walkthrough here about cross-site scripting and stuff like that. Again, never hurts to read more on different people's perspective of an attack and how they think about it, stuff like that. The reason I put it on here is you can see it's got these payloads over here. Now, one, loads up, has a lot of good stuff. A bunch of the stuff that's based around images you can see here, right? Two, depending on your browser, may act like this. Just type in here, and it goes blank. So for some reason the page kind of wonky, but you can go to the third and you can see you've got more that you can go through here. 6, when you come down, it just basically sends you back over to here. And when you click on the project, this has got some interesting links, definitely worth checking them out. In fact, this one right here, I actually have, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe is the next link. Payload all the things. Again, if you do not have this repo bookmarked, pause video, click the link, go to it, click on this, and bookmark this page. You know you're on the right one when you scroll down and you see this and they give a link to their actual website. This is a resource, again, by hackers for hackers, by researchers for researchers. 279 contributors. This thing is awesome. And you can literally go through here, and if there's a particular attack you're researching and want to find payloads for or more information on, there's a good chance you can find something on it here. So we come back down, cross-site scripting injection. So here it gives a little bit of breakdown, talks about it. You see it has this nice little summary to navigate and get around. Methodology, proofs of concept, and some examples, which is great. This is absolutely awesome. It is so worth taking the time to go through. Now, the actual payload page I was on is going to be underneath here in intruders, and this is absolutely awesome. You can go here, take a look through each of these to kind of get an idea of different things to do, places you can begin to research, look more at, learn more. Honestly, I just can't say enough about it. It's a really, really, really great resource. And for those of you who watched my video on the SQL injection automation script that I made, which I am still working on, and I'm working on slowly improving it. This is actually where I got the payloads for. I know a lot of people have been asking, it's like, where do you get the payloads for? I've been hit up. And what I do is the auth bypass text and bypass 2. All I did was just copy these and combine them into one text file. And that was the payload. That's where I started with the payload for it, was from here. So yeah, awesome resource. Alright, so enough about resources, enough about bragging on other people's work. Definitely go check everything out. Time to show a couple examples real quick. I'm going to show you one using the alert pop-up, and then another one setting up a simple Python server and having the code send information to it. So I'm on my home lab here, and I'm going to be using the BWAP for this. If you're not familiar with BWAP, it is an awesome tool that was developed around 2012, I think is when the first iteration came out. And the last one was 2014, which is what this one is. And it's a great resource for just setting up a machine and just pounding the snot out of it to learn things and to test things. So what we're going to do here is come over, scroll down to cross-site, and we're going to check out this reflected get first. So you can see we have a simple page asking for our first and last name. So we come here, this is going to be one we're going to test first. Now all this is doing, show you here, is we're initiating the script. We're using the alert command, so we'll get a box that pops up. And we're passing the document cookie in it, so that way we can actually see our cookie. You just come here, type in last name, and hit go. So you see we have a box that pops up. Okay, and just to show you that it is indeed the cookie we have for the page here, I've got the inspector open. I'm on the storage tab here. You can see we have the SSID and security level. So if we just rerun this one more time, we get our pop-up, open the cookie, and you see that this right here, that doesn't do stupid things like that. So you can see right here, the cookie ends in 501v3, 501v3, security level 0, security level 0. So this next one, we'll come over here and we'll just set up to start a simple HTTP server. We'll grab this code. What this is doing is using the fetch command, and we're giving it the IP address of the server I just started, and we're passing a parameter called file content. We're going to encode that document cookie and send it. So we just come back over here, this in, and hit go. You see nothing happens on the page. Come back into our terminal. Here we go. Now there it is. File content equals security level. Now if you're not familiar with reading URL encryption, it can be a little hard, so we can just copy this, come over to a tool like CyberChef, drop it in, search for URL decoded. As you can see, there's information a little bit easier to read format. So the other way I want to show you is cross-site scripting stored. This is also pretty interesting. So you can see here we got a little blog, and we can put some information in. Let's go, how are you today? Submit. You see it's entry number 13, owner's B, the date we put it in, and the entry itself, right? Pretty simple and straightforward. So how can we use this for cross-site script? Well, this is where attacks like these really come in handy. So we'll just Get this copied. We will drop this in here and hit submit. Again, as you see, nothing happened. Now, if you notice, there's nothing here in the entry. So if you're doing this in the real world, pen testing, bug bounty hunting, or something like that, you probably want to put some text in front of the script or after it so it actually shows up something there. It doesn't look too suspicious. But we come back over here. You see we got pinged again. Now, why this is useful, if I just hit this button to go back to the home page, is when somebody else navigates to that blog post, right? So we go down here, we click on stored, hack, nothing happened, right? Page is loaded, we can browse around, look at the blog. Cool. Come back over here. Their cookie's been passed to us. So if you're in a position where you need to gather other users' cookies or information from their browser environment and you can store an XSS payload, this is kind of one of the tricks you can do to get information from the browser when it loads. Okay, and I'm going to leave a link to BWAP down below. Here on their download page, you can download BWAP, and this is what I've got. I got it running a Docker container in one of my home labs. If you don't have the resources to set up something like that, but you can run a virtual machine, they do have an option called bbox, which you can download and run in a virtual machine, and it does take you to SourceForge. I have downloaded it, I checked it, I didn't find any problems with it, I didn't find anything suspicious. I would say it's relatively safe. Yeah, it is 2014, but here's the thing. Attacks that you're going to be learning about, researching, the truth is they've been around for a long time. There's very few types of attacks that are new. Maybe some of the payload methodologies changed, some of the techniques for those attacks have changed, and some are new. But usually the attack itself is kind of an old concept. And to show you in perspective of like why the age doesn't really matter, do you know when USB 3.0 came out? Do you remember the first time you saw a device that had USB 3.0? Well, USB 3.0 was designed in 2008. There's this thing in technology where technology actually gets developed and then it can take anywhere from, I've seen 4 to 10 years before it actually gets into the consumer market. Usually you'll see it in like government server stuff first. So don't be put off by the age of things when you're doing research on attack vulnerabilities and stuff like that. Even though it's old, give it a chance. You never know what you can learn from it. And a little interesting side note, USB 4.0 is out. It came out in 2019. So yeah, there you go. A simple intro to cross-site scripting. Several of the resources I've come across while researching and learning. I do want to go into it a bit more when I have some time throughout this holiday season to do some more research and learning. And the reason why is because I decided when I did that walkthrough and to dive into cross-site scripting more, to kind of learn more about it, that I have areas of hacking that I'm comfortable with and that I'm good with. But it's only a handful of things. I want to expand. I want to be able to understand more concepts and be able to do more things. And that's something that every one of us should have a drive to do. Yeah, you have your areas that you can specialize in, that you're comfortable with, that you can just knock out like that, right? Like I love Python scripting and packet handling, network interactions, stuff like that. But I need to expand if I want to be a good, well-rounded hacker. And because I do want to move in to the realm of doing bug bounties. And if that's something that you would like to do or you want to see about trying to go into the security field professionally, you're going to have to be well-rounded. You're going to have to know not only the terminologies, you're going to have to know how to do the attacks, you're going to have to know how to look for them. So it's a lot of time and effort to put into yourself. But depending on what your goals are, it could really be worth it. With all that said, if you found this video interesting and helpful, please give a like. If you haven't already, subscribed. I think last time I looked, 96% of the viewers who watch the videos aren't subscribed yet. And what do you think about cross-site scripting? Are you good with it? Are there resources that you've learned that I didn't mention? Leave them down in the comments for other people to find. And be interested in any type of payloads that you've come across that you think are interesting or were neat. When I first learned about the fetch command, which all you could do with it, that was really interesting and opened up a lot of possibilities to explore. So at the time of recording this, it is the holiday season. I hope you're able to enjoy it, spend time with family and friends, have a decent time this season, and be safe out there. And I'll see you next time.